Seven PM, the regular meeting of the Mayville Common Council, Monday, October 9th. Please take the roll.
Alderperson Tillman,
Here.
Alderperson Newman,
Here.
Alderperson Abbott,
Here.
Alderperson Olson. Here. Alderperson Schmidt
Here.
and Mayor Glenn.
Here. The quorum is present. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3, citizen comments. Citizen comments are to be kept to a maximum of 5 minutes per speaker unless the chairperson allows an extension of time. Each citizen is to make comments at the podium after stating their name and address. Each citizen may comment only one time in a public hearing or meeting. Any citizen comments?
Good evening. My name is Joseph Reese. I live at 505 Grove Street here in Mayville. Before I get to the comment that I wanted to make, I just wanted to point out something that I see in the agenda that may or may not actually be legal, which is under item number 7, committees, commissions, and boards. There's 2 sections in here that looks like it's actually a meeting of the whole, and I don't think that this is a meeting of the whole, so I don't know if that can proceed the way it is. That would be a question for the city attorney. Anyways, I digress. I want to start off my public comment tonight by saying, and I'll state this rather emphatically, I'm not here to make anyone look bad. In my opinion, that has already been done. In fact, my goal here is to simply state facts and hopefully for both members of this body as well as the general public to think about these facts. In 2022, John Gwynn was elected mayor of Mayville. This is a fact. A coinciding fact is that John Gwynn wouldn't so much as take the time to meet with Rob Belk, the outgoing mayor, to allow for an information sharing session, which would facilitate a quote smooth transition into our highest office in the city. Anyone who has ever made a strategic plan or even a simple decision knows that information gathering is a crucial aspect of these processes. In fact, many decisions falter and many plans fail due to a lack of appropriate information. With this in mind, I will remind the council, the mayor, and the public that on January 9th, 2023, the mayor stated in his report that, quote, failing to plan is planning to fail. So from the beginning, our mayor seems as though he's been planning to fail. We have further proof of this in his recent actions to remove Sue Smith and Lisa Newman from the library board. Unfortunately, I don't believe John Gwynn fully understands what the council's 4-2 no confidence vote means. While it may carry no real legal bearing, it stands as an official on the record instance of the people's representatives saying they have no confidence in his ability to carry out his duties. And this is an important part, they also will not support him as mayor. With that said, how does John Gwynn conceive that he will be able to fill the library board vacancies? These appointments require council confirmation. With 4 of the now 5 council members unwilling to support this mayor, he is even further down the path of incapability. Remember that comment about planning to fail? In that same report on January 9th, the mayor referenced needing a succession plan. To be fair, he was speaking about actual staff, not unpaid volunteers, dedicating their time and effort free of charge for the betterment of the city and the community. In the same breath, still speaking about staff, he's paraphrased as saying the best possible results are offering terrific service to our citizens. John Gwynn seems to be able to speak the right words, but his actions are far from the mark on follow-up. On the topic of follow-up, John Gwynn has touted transparency for the majority of his term. As a matter of fact, in that same meeting on January 9th, in his report, he stated the city was working towards better transparency. Considering this, I'll ask the mayor, for the sake of transparency, will you please tell the good folks of this city why he removed 2 long, attentive, dedicated, and knowledgeable volunteers from the library board? Furthermore, considering he indicated state statute 17.12, section 1C 2.a, which means he removed them, quote, at pleasure, please tell us what pleasure was derived from removing these 2 key volunteers from their roles with no plan and no means to replace them and or keep their work moving forward. Also, on January 9th, John Gwynn made a key remark at the end of his report. He said, at the end of the day, we are here to serve the community. Again, for the sake of transparency, Mr. Gwynn, please enlighten us as to how your recent actions have served the community. I think this mayor has let his pride and ultimately his ego get in the way of the job he was elected by default to carry out. He may very well hold the highest office in the city, but he needs to remember that office is fully funded by the taxpayers that deserve better than his emotional decision-making. In the wake of John's term, at least 12 employees, aldermen, or volunteers have been lost. One of those people being me. I can tell you, I, for one, left in the majority part because I could not tolerate the political games I saw this mayor consuming the city with. Political games, mind you, that he accused other folks of playing in the April council meeting. As unfortunate as it may seem, many smart, talented, and educated individuals have opted to let this mayor run the ship aground because sometimes absolute failure is the only way forward. When the quest for progress leads us backwards, we need to see that the divide between our contrived speech and our actual accomplishments is too vast to span, and the void is nothing more than our own ego. In closing, I'd like to remind people of an old expression. You know a workman by the chips they leave. From my perspective, this mayor hasn't left a pile of chips on the floor. He is indeed standing in a pile of something made with much less skill. I'd advise him to be careful of his next steps. Thank you for your time.
Are there any other public comments?
Good evening. My name is Keith Lodahl. I live at 150 North German Street. And I'm here to discuss the item on the agenda for dissolving the Water Wastewater Board. I have just recently finished 5 years on that board. I was appointed to that board by the previous mayor, Mayor Bell. After the council had the wisdom to eliminate a very bad law that was requiring virtually everyone in the city with a clay sewer lateral to replace their laterals. 2 streets were done. The reason it was being done was there was clear water infiltration into the sewer plant. And it costs just as much to treat rainwater as it does to treat anything else that goes through the plant. It was expensive and there was a lot of infiltration. By the time I got on the board had already started looking at the problem. The law had been changed. They weren't going for the easy way of making the taxpayers pay for it. They were starting to take a look at what can the utility do with the infrastructure to make it right. And in the 5 years that I was on there, I've made great strides toward getting that taken care of. We had manholes all over the city that were leaking like crazy. We had hundreds of feet of sewer laterals that had holes in them and water was getting in that way. And even though it's not perfect yet, there's been a great deal of progress that's been made. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of work in order to get it that way. You know, one of the things that irritated me about going into that was it was a decision the council had made without making any real study as to find out where the water infiltration was coming from. And in the work I've done in industry and in private practice for a number of years, you know, when you've got a problem, you've got to look at finding the source. And you know, it was just an easy grab at what they did work on. At any rate, one of the best things that we did as a board in the time that I've been on there is we found a really excellent director that replaced, we had a guy that was pretty good before, but he was a part-time director. His heart wasn't really in it. We've got someone now that has changed the face of the water utility, both utilities in this community. Before you mentioned either water or sewer utilities, people always have a bad comment. The water is rusty. We don't like this. We don't like it. We call down there when we've got a problem. We don't get results. We've got someone in there now that's doing a fantastic job. We stabilize the workforce. Our reports that we get back from the DNR are perfect, superlative. We found grant funding to 100% replace all the lead water laterals in this community and at no cost to the city or the taxpayers. That was tremendous work. She worked with the board, the commission, to replace the well that's in the process of being replaced now. And when that well was working, she was able to determine that the filter in it had been painted with high lead paint, which could potentially cause lead to get in our water system. So she shut it down immediately. And incidentally, since that time, whenever they fill the swimming pools at the tag center, they don't have to de-rust the water. It's good. And so that saved a lot of money there too. And we will have a new well that will serve us for a long time as a result of that. She worked with the board and we've got a consulting firm to design a much needed replacement for the sewer plant that we currently have. That was built to last for 25 years and it's been going for about 40. And it's fallen apart. And the benefits of the new plan is it's going to cost the ratepayers a lot less money to run. It's a very efficient system. It's going to work. And like I said before, she's worked with citizens to make sure that any concerns they have are taken care of. You know, the interesting thing about it is now that the Mayville utilities are recognized locally as being a good service for the consumers, for the ratepayers. She's gotten state recognition for the work that she's done, and as well as national recognition. This is a very bright, shining star for Mayville. It was done primarily with the board's help and with Courtney. You know, so far I've heard no reason to dismantle this board other than Alderman Newman was unhappy that we didn't change the meeting time for him. We had a good reason which we shared with him. It wasn't good enough for him, so we're back at this again. I'm really looking forward to hearing the discussion on this. As far as I can find, I've seen no record that this was ever discussed by the council in an open meeting. So it needs to be discussed tonight, and a good reason put for this other than someone was unhappy with us for not changing times. One thing I noticed at the last meeting, Alderman Tillman, you made quite a point about the time that being on the council takes. You need to eliminate a number of reports and other things that take up time. Count on building a sewer plant taking a lot of your time. We're just going into a season to do that. There's a learning curve for this. It takes time to come up to speed to be able to actually do this work. And it takes time to do it. Now we have some short meetings, but a lot of them are quite long. So I'm encouraging you to think about this carefully before you make a decision based on what, so far as I can see, is just one person's irritation with us. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Keith. Are there any other citizen comments? All right, item number 4, public hearing. This public hearing is to incorporate public comments on the rezone request from Lawrence and Tricia Swetchel, parcel number 251-1216-1323-006, from B2 outlying business district to RA single family.
Scott Schneiber, their real estate agent. So they're the Schweckels are looking to they have a called a short-term rental or Airbnb over there, and the way it's zoned currently, that nobody can live on the premises, and they're looking to sell the property, and it would be much more of a usable property if somebody could actually live there. It is a house. It's completely renovated into a living quarters. Works for its current use, but could work for both. So that's why they're seeking to change it to residential so that it can be used for both items. I just passed pictures around here. I can see it. It's very kind of beautiful home is what it is.
Yeah.
No questions? If there are any questions, I think we're good. Any additional public comments on the topic?
Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank you for coming in. We'll take a motion to adjourn from the public hearing. By Schmidt. Second by Tillman, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is adjourned. Item 5, the consent agenda. There are 2 items that were placed in your packet. One being the minutes of September 11th common council meeting, and the other regarding temporary Class B license for the Rotary Club, Mayville Rock Beer River Beer Fest 2024, the event date January 27, 2024. Does anybody care to remove either of these items and put them on the regular agenda?
Just one, first one, approval of the minutes.
Okay. Approval of the minutes, where would you like that to appear?
We can go right after, our consent agenda.
Okay. All right, we'll just place it right for report of officers. So the one remaining item for the consent agenda is regarding the Class B license for the Rotary Club, Mayville Rock River Beer Fest 2024, event date January 27th, 2024. So consent agenda, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the Mayville Rock River Beer Fest 2024 Class B license is approved. Now, regular agenda item, approve the minutes of September 11th, 2023 common council meeting.
Just wanted to go to the report of officers under section 4, and I believe it'd be 5. And B. Or B? Yeah. Six, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5B. Where we have the clerk with discuss with possible action removing agenda items, mayor's comments, clerk's comments, treasurer report. Now, do we not? We moved past that.
It's unlawful. The city ordinance stipulates that those reports are to be on the agenda, so you'd have to change the ordinance and change the agendas. I
Unlawful
would
for,
put you, unlawful that city statute, excuse me, city ordinance under chapter 38 specifically calls out the order and content of a agenda for the purpose of a common council meeting. A part of which is inclusive of a mayor's report, treasurer's report, and so on and so forth.
First of all, on the table,
Okay,
so regardless of that, it's incorrect. The conversation, I guess then the conversation is regarding changing the city ordinance, because we discussed at the meeting that it's on the border of not being legal to put generic agenda items on there with no content, such as mayor's report, clerk's report, library report, any of those.
so before we,
So anything that shows up on there should be a specifically delineated on the agenda, so the public knows what that comment is going to be.
I think that's fine. There's not a motion on the table. We're delving into conversation points. We need to just kind of move along. So what would you like to change about the minutes so that you're able to pass or not pass the minutes?
just make a motion not to pass the minutes of September 11th. Common council meeting.
I think the procedure would be to amend the minutes so they can be approved. So is there an amendment being offered?
Yes.
What's the amendment?
to bring it up back into discussion. At a different council meeting.
If the minutes as drafted don't reflect what actually happened, so they can offer an amendment to the minutes, and that can be voted on, and the minutes will be approved as amended. So it is a specific amendment to the minutes.
Can we strike that out?
I would make a motion to refer back to committee for further discussion. There's a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Abstain?
What committee are we going back to?
I would just say the original committee it was a part of. Or was in the county council meeting. Would think the,
I mean, that was under report of officers.
yeah. And committee, we don't have a clerk report, so Nolan, you should send it for committee for further discussion, but the question is, what's the best spot?
What are we referring to committee?
A discussion about what we're doing with certain agenda items and potentially changing the ordinance so that these agenda items no longer appear.
Well, right now, we're talking about whether the minutes are being approved as written or as corrected.
Yeah, correct.
And so I think there are a number of things that are not accurate on there. If I remember correctly, additionally, the first item of the finance committee was not moved to next council meeting. I thought we approved an RFP for bids under finance committee item 1.
In the interest of time, I would make a motion to table this until the November common council meeting. And in the interim, please reach out to Nolan and Christine to discuss your concerns with the formatting and bring it for further conversation.
Second that.
Okay,
Is
I
that
made the
a
motion, Tillman,
Is that a motion to postpone consideration of approval of the minutes till next month's meeting? Is that correct?
that is correct. With the understanding that those that have concerns about the content will reach out to our interim clerk and or city attorney. We move in second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I made the motion, Tillman seconded. Pass 5-0. Okay. Mayor's report in the interest of time. I will speak on specific topics of my report in different parts of the agenda that are related to. So with that, next section 7, committees, commissions, and boards will convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business, whether competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. I'd be care to make a motion. Motion by Schmidt. Is there a second? Second by Abbott. Take the roll.
Alderperson Tillman,
Nay.
Alderperson Newman,
No.
Alderperson Olson,
Nay.
Alderperson Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderperson Abbott,
Aye.
and Mayor Glenn.
I don't vote. So the question then becomes of the council, you don't want to do this in closed session. Are you looking to have this presentation in open session?
Why not? Everybody's here.
Joe DeYoung, would you like to speak in open session?
Not really. Oh, happy to get up for a little bit and talk if you like, but. Yeah, my name is Joe DeYoung with MSA Professional Services. I've been in front of you once before. So I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was here obviously to talk a little bit more about services that we provide, and one of the services we discussed was helping out with some temporary administration services. The fact that you're short from staff, we have some ability to do it, but with an understanding of how this impacted other communities and things I'd love to share with you that I will not talk about in public that affect other than Mayville itself, and how it's helped or hurt other communities and what I can do for you or what we can't do for you. I just wanted to make sure there was an understanding. And again, from my outside perspective, looking in, you obviously have a concern with getting staff and getting things done and things that are obviously proceeding. There's obviously concerns within the board that are obviously, I think, for a lot of people, but to be honest with you, that's a lot of what I wanted to discuss to make sure you understood exactly what we're getting into, what we're proposing to do, and make sure. So I appreciate the chance, guys. It's been good to sit down and talk to you at different times, but right now I know that there's one thing that needs some help, and it's obviously your staff. My goal was to talk in private, obviously to go through negotiations. There's a difference in how we approach our services based on what type of client and what we do and what we try and do to help you guys out. But at the end of the day, it might not be right either. And I just wanted to give your staff and us a chance to explain it to you, talk about what the rates would be, what type of hours, what we see. And to be fair, there's so many different ways to do this that I just wanted to make sure that was clear before you knew what you're getting into. So again, I appreciate the time. I consider it, but I guess at this point, that's all I gotta say. I apologize for obviously not being able to talk to you, but we'll go from there. All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Next item would be if somebody cares to make a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.85(1)(c), considering employment, promotion, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Would anybody care to make a motion to go into closed session using those terms?
I will make that motion.
Alderman Schmidt makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tillman. Please take the roll.
Alderperson Newman,
No.
Alderperson Olson,
Nay.
Alderperson Schmidt,
Aye.
Alderperson Tillman,
Aye.
and Alderperson Abbott.
All right.
All right, we're in closed session.
You got this report. But because